Hello again and welcome. It's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com, and today I'm going to create an ice planet. Now, I don't know if any of you out there are Star Wars fans, but hubby and I are big fans of the whole Star Wars saga, and so today I want to do a pour on a record and I want it to be Hoth, the ice planet. So I've picked my colours accordingly. So I've done this Americana Bahama blue, then my regular economy white, a cobalt blue and a silver. There was one paint that I really wanted to use that didn't make the mix. I'd made up this antique blue using a mica. Absolutely glorious. You probably can't see, but it's so rich and sparkly. It's got a lot of depth to it. It's almost galaxy-like, and I thought that would look good, but I did some experimenting beforehand. So I tried out actually on some plastic here, all of the different colour combinations that I wanted to use. I tried a little bit of green, for example, in this one, but I found that every time when I used this this antique blue, it made everything kind of muddy, a little bit dark. It was just too dark, and it mixed with the white. You see here it is here. It doesn't look too bad, but where it mixes with the white, it almost makes a grey, and I'm not really looking for too much grey. So I've swapped out, instead of having the dark antique blue, which makes it very grey, I've gone for a much lighter one in the hope that this one looks a little bit more glacier, a little bit more ice-like. So I've carried out a few pre-tests anyway to see how the colours all work together. So what I've done, I've mixed up all of my colours. I've got them mixed in my little pots and ready to go. And basically for the economy colours here, it's 1 tablespoon of colour, a half a tablespoon of the Floetrol additive, and around a teaspoon of water. And then all of them have got, apart from the white that I'm going to use, I haven't got any silicone in my white because I understand from others that that is a good idea. So I've put some of this silicone spray. I've actually put it in, sprayed it into a little pot and just used a dropper to put a couple of drops in each of my colours, and I've got those mixed up here. So let me clear my workbench. We'll pull the record into view and start with our pour. So I've got my record prepared. I've cleaned the surface off just with a little bit of alcohol and put a sticker in the middle to cover up the hole there. There was one paint that I hadn't mentioned earlier. This is this light blue kind of sparkly mix just here. This was one that I'd made up myself using this sparkle blue mica that I had left over from some soap making. And actually this is mixed up with the mica and 50% Floetrol, 50% PVA glue. So this one's a bit different to all the others, and we'll see how that one works in the mix. So I slept on it last night and decided what I wanted to do, and I'm still a bit uncertain, so we'll see how it goes. I thought what I would like to do is create the poles in maybe this green colour. So if these are the poles of my planet, I may try and put something up at the top just here, and I'm going to just spoon it on and try and make it, you know, like an irregular shape, as if it were a landmass. But then I'm going to probably swipe this later on anyway, so I don't think it will be too critical exactly what it looks like, because when I swipe it will only all change up. And I'm just going to put it kind of here like this. These are the poles of my planet. And then I'll use some white just around the poles, so it'll give me something to swipe a little bit later on. If I put that there, these two will run in together. Okay, and then maybe a little bit on the sides just here, so that it gives me a little something to swipe with later on. And then the rest I'm going to try and put into a cup and pour here, and then it will give me some random colours, and then when I swipe we'll see what happens. So let's start off, I guess. We are an ice planet after all, so I'm going to put lots of white in there to start. And then I don't think it really matters what order I put these others into the mix, but I'll do a little bit of each. Got the nice silver here. This always creates some interesting effects. Add that one in too. This blue, very rich. I want to add some, but not go too crazy. So I don't want it to dominate. I'm afraid that if I add too much, it might bleed too much into the white and again make it grey like that other darker blue did. So here's my mica paint. Let's add a bit more white and then go back through our colours. So a bit more silver. A bit more of the icy colour. And then the rest of my homemade blue. I'm going to scrape all of that in there. I never like to waste a drop of paint if I can. That's why I use these little pots with the lids, because if I mix up something and I haven't used the whole thing, I just pop the lid back on and then I use it again later on. So lots of interesting stuff going on in there. We add more white. Okay, so now I just want to let it settle for a minute and just all those paints to mix around, and then I'm going to pour it on here. I've got a little hair I can see. Let's pull that one out. The white and the green up here already bleed in nicely into each other, and here the green's kind of leaching out slightly into the white. I'm going to tap those so that I'm not ending up with any gaps there. Same up at this end, but like I said, I'm probably going to swipe anyway, so I don't think it will be too critical. Okay, so let me give it a go now with my cup. Got some interesting stuff going on in the cup, so let's hope that the same kind of thing happens when we pour it out onto our record. Okay, looking good. And again, I don't want to waste anything, so I'm going to add those paint scrapings over on this side. Okay. So it's not looking as white as I thought, but maybe I need to just add a little bit more in. I've certainly got more space to add more white. So let me just put in a little bit of extra. And when I swipe across, hopefully we'll get a bit more white than we've got at the start here. Okay, so now because of the way I've poured, my lines are kind of going in this direction, so I'm wondering whether I should continue to swipe that way or that way. I've got my poles though, so I don't want to disrupt those too much. So I think I'm going to give it a go with a bit of swiping and see what happens. So if I swipe one way and then come back the other, and then the same on this side, I'll swipe one way, come back the other. Okay, that's definitely looking very ice planet like. So now let's have a look down at these sides just here. There's nice little swirls developing, very kind of Jupiter, you know. So now I'm going to do a little swirl down at the bottom here, just a little swipe over this green with the white, create a little bit of interest there. But I still want it to look like we've got the poles here, slightly different colour to the rest. A little bit extra white. And then I'm just going to swipe again over the green there. Back the other way. So let's see what's happening. It looks like my paint is going in that direction. So I'm just going to get a stick, pop under my tray and level that off a little bit because I don't want everything to go that way. I'm going to get another stick and just pop it again. Okay, so let's leave that for a moment and see what happens. I'm just going to get a paintbrush and just gently touch up the edges of the record here. So I've got all these puddles down the side which I can use and just gently tap a little bit of paint because I've not tilted it because I've just swiped. I want to make sure that I'm getting enough right around the edge of the record. I know it's not a big ledge like a canvas or something would be, but still I don't want it to be black there. I want it to be painted in. I'm going to carry on all the way around this edge just with my bits of drips and dribbles, and we'll see what the paint does while I'm taking care of these edges. Okay, that's good. I've got this definite side to side action, which I was looking for. They're just, you know, indistinct, but definitely there, stripes that kind of go around the planet. And then I've got my two poles up at the top here with a slightly different color, which is really nice. So I've got a little blank patch just there, a little bit more paint. I think as time goes on, I'll probably just need to gently come back and fill in any of these little edges where the paint drips off a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. Okay, so should I give it a little torching? Probably, and see what happens. There's lots of, you know, interesting little bits of action and things here, but if I give it a torching, then what I find also is if I torch around the edges, that it seems to prevent some of the paint. It dries, creates a little film around the edges, and can stop some of it rolling off. So let's give it a torching and see what happens. Okay. Yeah, I'm very satisfied. It's the kind of thing that I was certainly imagining when I was asleep last night. So I'm very happy. Let me bring the camera down and just show you some of these details. Oh, there we go. This is more from my point of view. Take a look in at some of the more interesting parts. Certainly a lot of really small details here, which is what I like, because you imagine if this was a planet, these details, they would be small if you were looking at them from space. So I think it's got some nice, interesting areas. So now, and up at the top here, just where the poles of my planet are, you can see the lighter colours up at the top here, which looks nice. And it's balanced again, obviously, with some of the greens that we've got running through in some of the other areas. And then again, you know, there's some areas where it looks like there's a river running across the surface or something that's made up of that silver, which is always gives a nice effect. So I'm going to wait for this to dry, and I'll give it a coat of varnish, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Well, here's my painting the next morning, and I picked it up to move it without even thinking, and it was still wet, and I stuck my thumb right in it, right there. So I'm now convinced myself that I didn't really like it anyway, because it's hopeless with a great big thumbprint in the middle like that, which I can't get rid of. So this one will be scraped and washed, and I'm going to give this one another try one day. Can't win them all. Thanks for watching.